Live from the virtual Lucas Oil Raceway here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. You are watching the Yokohama team stream here on Apex Racing TV. I'm your host Joshua Lee, joined by Dane Baird, with Alex Simpson and Mark Tranter helping out with the production here today. And Dane, we're heading in 3 rounds, including here at Lucas Oil, remain here in the series. John Robertson, Johan Harth, they have a stranglehold on the team standings as well as those driver championship standings. They both sit on the top 2. What do they need to do going into Lucas Oil to make sure they can keep that lead away from Mitchell DeYoung and Tommy Hallman and Johnny Olikainen and those guys at Set and Subaru?
Well, they just have to keep on doing what they've been doing recently. I mean, a couple of Team Yokohama 1-2s recently. Hell wasn't the best round for the team, but they did really well last time out at Sonoma. We do revisit Sonoma, so that's a good sign for Johan Harth and John Robertson. That was a Team Yokohama 1-2 last time out. That's going to be the final round of 9. We're here for round 7 at Lucas Oil, and we visit Phoenix in, I believe, 2 weeks' time. I could be slightly wrong with that. It's either 1 or 2 weeks' time. We do have 1 gap week left of the season. I believe that's just after Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. We've got Team Yokohama quite a substantial lead at the top of the team standings, and you can see a 1-2 in the driver's standings as well, with John Robertson leading that, just ahead of Johan Harth, 128 and 150 points respectively. And that's a fairly big gap between themselves and Mitchell DeYoung. But as we were just talking about, that could easily flip on its head, so they really have to keep at what they've been doing. Yeah,
the max amount of points that anybody can get here in this series is 29. here in one round. So that means that Robertson could end up with 29, or De Jong could end up with 29, and Robertson ends up with only a handful of points. So anything can happen as they head to Lucas Oil. These Team Yokohama drivers are just going to need to be on their feet and are ready to go as practice is getting ready to finish up. Just a couple more seconds remaining there, and then we'll be heading into qualifying. And Dane, last week out, we were in Sonoma, another 1-2 finish for Team Yokohama. Of course, we saw that in Atlanta as well. But do you think these drivers can get another 1-2 for Team Yokohama here? Because they've already done it twice. Do you think they can do it a third time?
I definitely do. They're definitely proven themselves to be really on it this year, especially John Robertson didn't have the 2019 season he was hoping for, and people were pipping him for after obviously being the highest ranked rookie in that season. Yeah, I think he's really upped his game for this season, himself and Johan Hart as well, both of them doing fantastically well. And from what I was hearing just before we went live, it was Johan Hart leading practice. The 20-minute practice session that the drivers do get before qualifying starts. And I believe qualifying is underway. We can see Johan Hart on the screen now.
Yeah, getting that first lap underway for Johan Hart. Taking that corner very tight, making sure that his line is all good to go as he heads over the jump for the first time. Long sweeping dirt section here at the Lucas Oil Raceway. A little similar to Sonoma, of course without the elevation changes that Sonoma uniquely brings to a rallycross track. So he heads through this final corner. Four-wheel drive on these rally cars. Very difficult to get the power down there in NASCAR 3 and 4, Dane.
Absolutely, so easy to understeer wide, just push wide, and there it is, Johan Hart on provisional pole after just a minute of the session. You can see absolutely flying in towards the gravel section. It's not the same dirt that we see in the rest of the season. Now we head on to the dirt up and over the jump. That is going to be a real action spot. Johan Hart clips the inside barrier there. So easy to do. One of the more difficult corners on the calendar, in my personal opinion. The walls are really close around, and that is going to be an action spot. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers having mishaps there in the heats, and especially the constellation races as well, the C-main and the B-main that we're going to have, because all the drivers are going to be desperate to get themselves up through the field, especially on lap number 1. The track is really wide, as you can see on the NASCAR oval, and then it very quickly tightens up. Here they go in towards, this is John Robertson, and there it is, really narrow, and it gets even narrower as they head onto the pit lane, which is where they've laid down the dirt for this rallycross track.
Robertson currently sits in 4th right now. Jake Robertson for Apex Racing Team in 8th, with Johan Hart in 2nd. Mitchell De Jong sits on top of the qualifying standings on this race with a 40.09 seconds. Let's see if John Robertson will have anything to fight with Mitchell, and it looks like he's going to abandon that lap. He's going to bring it back into pit road as we move on to Johan Hart. I believe this is his final lap of qualifying. Will he have anything to defeat Mitchell De Jong as he comes through NASCAR 4 onto the front straightaway? Will it be an improvement? It is, but not enough. A 40.095, just a couple of tenths off of Mitchell De Jong, 2 1,000ths of a second off of Mitchell De Jong. These drivers are close up at the top of the leaderboard.
Absolutely, and over the course of, say, a 10-lap race, that's still only 200ths of a second, which is barely any time between them at all. So even over race distances, that margin is tiny. And yeah, Johan Hart retires back to the pit area. He will not take any further part in qualifying. You can see the drivers who have retired back to the pit area. They have, their names are a bit grayed out on the timing tower. We've got 25 drivers in this session. I think this might be the largest grid that we have had all season. 6 rounds before. We've had drivers missing out pretty much every single round, whether that's due to race bans, race penalties, or just not being able to turn up. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a big grid, which means we are going to have, I believe, 7 cars in a couple of the heats, which we didn't see last time out. There were only 6 cars in each.
Taking a look at Alard Lemon-Sivu as he finishes up his qualifying laps. A minute left on that clock for the remaining drivers to put in their laps. Lemon-Sivu for CR22 Motorsports. Going through that hard hairpin from dirt to asphalt, very difficult to get right. And he did not get it right. He's going to abandon that lap as we hop to Mitchell DeYoung, who currently sits on the pole in the Subaru Motorsports USA machine. See if he can improve on that pole time, or if he is going to keep that same time up at the top of 40.093 to be exact. Through this NASCAR 3 and 4 all asphalt banked corner. Gets off of the corner. Will he improve that time? And it doesn't look like that time is going to, yes it will actually, 40.263. So he does not improve on that pole time. He'll keep that time up at the top of the board, with Johan Harth in second, John Robertson in fourth. A good qualifying effort from Team Yokohama, and they'll be starting on the pole in both of their respected heats. And now that qualifying is over, we'll get ready for heat number 1 here at the Lucas Oil Raceway. We'll take a look at that starting grid. Mitchell DeYoung on the pole, Tommy Hallman in second, Otto Toskanen in third. That's going to round out your first row, with Adria Perez and Marco Matamores in row 2. Then Matt Busa and Henrik Krogstad will round out the 7 cars on the grid and the 3 rows that we will have start in the first standing start of the day. Dane, getting ready for the first heat. What are you expecting as they all dive into that very tight dirt section and gravel section for the first time?
I'm expecting a bit of action before we even reach turn number 1, to be quite honest, because the way the starting grid works here, the driver on pole position starts right on the inside, and you then have to go around NASCAR turns 3 and 4 in their entirety stuck on the inside, which allows the drivers on the outside of you. In this case, it's going to be Tommy Hallman, and I can't remember who that was. I think it might have been Otto Toskanen. That's it. There it is, and yeah, those two are going to be on his outside, and they're going to be able to swoop around the outside of him and get a much better line down to start lap number 1. So that's what I'm expecting to see. It's one of the things, the many complaints that drivers have of this circuit. A lot of drivers complaining about this circuit in particular. They have been pretty much since it was created in iRacing. But yeah, this it's a very interesting start that they have here. The joke is also going to be interesting. I'm not entirely sure if the drivers are allowed to take it on the first lap. I know that last year they had a rule where you can't take the Joker on the first lap. But yeah, if they are allowed to take the Joker on the first lap, that's going to cause some issues into turn number 1. It's very tight through there.
We're waiting on the rest of these drivers to make their way to the grid for the first time. DeYoung on pole. Tommy Hallman for Set Esports will start in second. So we just get ready for all these drivers, and they're all making their way now onto the grid as we get ready to go racing here in the first heat of the day. Everybody now on the grid. We'll see those lights come on and get ready to go racing here at the Lucas Oil Raceway. We're glad you're joining us here on Apex Racing TV for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series. We've got our Team Yokohama drivers coming up, but right now they go racing here in heat number 1 as they go through the first corners for the first time today. Hallman going to grab an early lead on Mitchell DeYoung as they come across the line for the first time.
Absolutely, DeYoung did really well to hold on the inside. There is no rule about taking the Joker from the first lap. You're going to see the Joker pretty much just a shorter line through turn number 1. A little bit of contact behind. That's Perez and Toskanen going at it. But DeYoung leads. He took to the Joker. Oh, Taskanen's been backed up into the wall. Krogstad gets into the side of him as well. They're going to go side by side over the jump. Is there going to be any more contact? It doesn't look like it. It's the head through the first, through the sweeping dirt corner for the first time.
DeYoung keeps the lead. Hallman in second. Otto Toskanen now in the 5, trying to fight back. He is on that transfer spot. The top 4 will make their way into the feature race out of heat number 1. And right now, Krogstad, Matamores, and Busa are outside of that top 4. But there goes Otto Toskanen down the Joker lane. Not that much of an advantage from the Joker lane this week, but he does keep that 4th place position.
Absolutely. And Hallman opted not to go into the pits. Perez really loose over the jump. Let's see if that's impacted him too much. It doesn't look like it has done. He's lost a little bit of time to the drivers ahead. And Krogstad making a little bit of a look down the inside of Toskanen. That's one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. That whole dirt section after the jump. Tricky right-hander to get right, but then straight into a left-hand hairpin that you really have to get slowed down for on the dirt in time. Otherwise, you can really easily end up in no man's land, and that was Krogstad giving a bit of a touch to the outside barrier, heading out of the Joker side by side. Now there's Matamoros up the inside. It's going to become the outside, a little bit of door banging. Krogstad's turned around, into booster he goes. Krogstad's turned around at the background.
Unfortunate for Henrik Krogstad, but we stay racing. De Jong leads, Hallman second, Adria Perez in third, who last week at Sonoma used one of the setups from Apex Racing Academy. We'll see how he can do here at the Lucas Oil Raceway, as he has a mirror full of Otto Toskinen as they're going to go down to the inside. Toskinen not going to have a lot of room down there as Adria Perez tried to shut the door, but there goes Toskinen into third.
That was a really good move by Toskinen. Perez shut the door, but not hard enough. And Toskinen just managed to sneak a nose in there towards turn number one. Once you get that inside line, it's very difficult to hold it around the outside just because of the way that the corner is banked on entry. And Perez is going to have quite a bit of work to do to catch Otto Toskinen, one of the fastest drivers. He actually won here. I believe it was last year for Positive Sim Racing it was. He was driving for last year, and he won the feature race here last year. So he is definitely one of the drivers to look out for in this race as they take the white flag. And De Jong still leads by about 1.3 seconds. Holman took to the Joker, and he is back out in second place.
Not that much of help in the Joker lane for Tommy Hallman, and I bet he wanted a little bit more help from the Joker lane than he got, but Mitchell de Jong gonna come off into iRacing turns 3 and 4, and he is gonna take the win here in heat number 1. In second, it's gonna be Tommy Hallman with Otto Toskinen in third, and Adria Perez in fourth. Those are the 4 cars that will make your way into the feature race. And albeit, even though we had a wreck from Henrik Krogstad about mid-race there, Dane, a fairly clean heat number 1 from these drivers here at Lucas Oil.
Absolutely, that is not a happy-looking Subaru for Henrik Krogstad. As all of the drivers unceremoniously kicked off the circuit, it's time for heat number 2 to start grading up, but the heat 1 results are on the screen then. And of course, it was Mitchell de Jong who took the win. He is halfway to taking a rallycross clean sweep of qualifying, heat race win, and a feature win. All right, time for heat number 2 then. Here's the grid.
Johan Harth, our own driver from Team Yokohama, will start in first. Alari Lamansivu in second. Tommy Makinen in third. Bobby Zelensky fourth. Vincente Salas fifth. Luke Kraus in sixth. And Alexi Heikkinen in seventh. Another 7-car grid here for heat number 2, but Johan Hart starts on the pole, but Salas behind, Zelensky behind, and both of the CR22 Motorsports cars. He's got a lot of defending to do here in the first turn.
Yep, absolutely. And for everyone watching that's wondering, as our producers are, what is the point of that Joker lane? Really, it's more of an obligation that Rallycross has to have a Joker lane, and that's the Joker lane that they've provided. It's less strategy and more obligation for the drivers here.
Well, here we go as we get ready to go racing in heat number 2. They are off and away. Harth on the inside gets a great start. He's going to be all clear as they go 3 wide behind for second. But Harth is clear, and he's going to try and check out from the field. Look at the gap already as he takes the Joker lane first lap.
Absolutely, really tricky Joker exit there. The other drivers will have a little bit of a better exit on towards that mini straight. These are actually the access roads for the pit lane. That's Alari Lamansivu who's been forced wide by Bobby Zelensky.
Harth keeps the lead over the jump for the first time through the dirt section. Long sweeping corner, difficult to get right, but Johan Harth does it. As they go through the hairpin, dirt to asphalt, back onto NASCAR 3 and 4. As Harth leads, he'll lead lap 1 with Bobby Zelensky behind. Zelensky's teammate Mitchell de Jong won heat number 1, but Harth leads the way for Team Yokohama here in heat 2. As he sets the fastest lap out of anybody in that first lap. Back into the gravel section once again. Harth just trying to run smooth laps right now as he tries to get another heat win.
Zelensky took to the Joker. The Joker Delta is around about 0.3 to 0.5 seconds, so nothing like what we've been seeing in recent times in the iRX World Championship Series, but Yeah, the Zelensky already took to the Joker lane, and he came out pretty much the exact same distance behind Johan as he was before. So Johan now doesn't have to worry about anyone taking the Joker. He can just run his clean laps as he comes down onto the apron just a bit under braking, trying to make that braking zone as much of a straight line as possible. Now into this gravel section, which has quite a bit of grip, more grip than you'd expect, and now onto the dirt, which has very little grip. It is basically wet, and that will give you a good idea of how much grip that has. It's like driving over mud rather than driving over dirt through the long sweeping section into this really tricky hairpin, the braking zone, one of the more difficult braking zones on the circuit. Background NASCAR turns 3 and 4, back onto the main straight, past the grandstand on the right, and starts another lap. That was an awesome lap.
2 laps now remaining here in heat number 2 as Hart continues to lead the way. Huge gap over Bobby Zelensky, 2.4 seconds right now. And Zelensky has come down the Joker lane. Salas, Makinen, Lemon, Seaver, and Kraus still need to. But Dane, with this pace from Johan Hart, what are you expecting from him in the future race? Because this is great pace, and as of right now, if he wins this heat, he'll be starting in second to the outside of Mitchell de Jong. If he gets another great launch like he did here in heat number 2, he's going to be grabbing the lead going through the first corner.
Absolutely. That is one of his biggest strengths. I think we've seen it all season long. His starts have been absolutely perfect pretty much every time. A little bit of confusion with the timing tower happening there as some drivers take to the Joker, and I think they might have seen a bit of contact in the background. But all eyes on Johan Hart coming up and over the jump through the dirt section for the final time in heat number 2. And he is about to take the checkered flag round the hairpin once more, avoid the wall on the outside, cut back to the inside for turn number 4 on the oval. And there he goes.
Johan Hart grabs the win once again here in heat number 2. Zelensky in second, Salas third, and Makinen will beat out his teammate Alari Lemonsivu for that transfer spot into the feature. There's your full heat 2 results with Johan Hart grabbing the win once again for Team Yokohama. We saw it last week at Sonoma. Another 1-2 starting to possibly brew from Team Yokohama with Zelensky, Makinen, and Lemonsivu rounding out your top 4, as I believe Vicente Salas with a time penalty added, so he'll finish actually down in 7th in that Entroni Esports car as we get ready for heat number 3 now, with Josh Fox on the pole, Yanni Olikainen in 2nd, Garrett Maines 3rd, Garrett Lowe 4th, Danny Matrani 5th, Sandra Silva 6th, and Rasmus Tuomainen in 7th. Then we get ready to race here in heat number 3. John and Jake Robertson, I believe, will both be in heat number 4, so we'll have a sibling rivalry going on there in heat 4, Dane.
Yeah, we saw it in the feature back at Sonoma. Awesome stuff to see as the lights are on for heat number 3.
Just as fast as those lights go on, they go out, and they race into NASCAR 3 and 4 for the first time. Who's going to get the advantage? Contact! Olikinen's around! But he saves it. What a save as he uses Danny Matrani to straighten his car out. But Olikanen now falling right down the order. That's not going to help him trying to get into the transfer spot. He might have just gotten back into 4th, and he's going to go back into 3rd as well. Great rebound from Olikanen after that disastrous first turn.
Absolutely. He did a great job to save that and keep it mostly out of the wall. I think he might have had a bit of a touch behind from Danny Matrani, which would have helped him a lot to keep that car going in a straight line. He tries to send it up the inside of Fox. Remember, only the top 2 go straight into the feature. Everyone else goes to one of the last chance qualifiers. Olikanen really has to make this move on circuit. Let's see who took to the Joker. Maines and Fox, as well as Sindre Silva and also Garrett Lowe. So Olikanen has the Joker in hand. As we've seen, though, it does not give you the biggest advantage, but at distances between cars this small, it might just be enough to make a difference.
Maines and Fox both came down into the Joker lane. Now they're going to get Garrett Lowe, who's also come down into the Joker lane. He's trying to fight Danny Matrani, and he's outside that bubble right now by 1 spot. He needs to get past that Nitro Circus number 76 Subaru ahead of him. if he wants a spot in the feature race and not have to race through, I believe he'd be racing through the B main. As look at that lockup, the handbrake from Danny Matrani almost all the way through the entry, middle, and exit of that corner.
Absolutely doing everything he can to try and get that car rotated. Looks like a pretty stiff looking rallycross car there. Olekainen as close as ever to Josh Fox. That gap less than 2/10 of a second between the two of them. They're touching as they go through the hairpin now to start lap number 4 of 5. Around the final NASCAR corner. Is Olekainen going to take to the Joker on this lap? No, he's not. He's saving it for the end.
2 laps to go now. Mains, Fox, Olekainen, Matrani. No change in the top 4. But right now, Olekainen is fighting. And there goes Garrett Lowe right around Danny Matrani. Now Matrani's going to have to fight in the transfer spot. He now sits in 5th, 1 position behind. He sees Garrett Lowe in front of him. Will he be able to get back by him? But here goes Olekainen. He's fighting for 2nd with Josh Fox.
Absolutely try to go around the outside. That pretty much will never ever work for you. And he's lost quite a considerable amount of time now. Half a second is the gap. He's going to go down to the right hand side of the screen, down into the Joker. Let's see, can he make the move up the inside? He's just too far back. He's going to have to make the move into the hairpin if he wants to make a move for 2nd. Otherwise, he'll be starting on potentially on pole position or on 2nd place in one of those last chance qualifiers. Let's see. Ring around the dirt section. I think he might just be too far back, but are we going to see an almighty send up the inside to the final corner? No, we're not.
He's not going to go for it. He'll settle for 3rd, and Garrett Lowe is going to be able to hold on for 4th. As coming across the line, Garrett Mains for Dreyer Reinbold is going to come across the line, take the win here in Heat 3. Josh Fox in 2nd, Olekainen in 3rd, Garrett Lowe in 4th. And Danny Matrani, Sindra Silva, both of the Nitro Circus cars will be heading into the last chance qualifiers with Rasmus Tuominen in 6th as well. Full Heat 3 results now going to come up on your screen. Garrett Mains, Josh Fox, Johnny Olekainen, and Garrett Lowe will all make it into the feature race. Everybody else, Matrani, Tuominen, and Silva, will have to try and win their respected last chance qualifiers to hopefully make their way into the feature race. But now it's time for the 4th and final heat of the day, as John Robertson will start on the pole. In 2nd, Jake Robertson. In 3rd, Connor Parisi. In 4th, Killian Delalmo. 5th, Bobby Sant Jr. And 6th will be Bo Albert. And Dane, both of these Robertsons will be starting on the front row. Do you expect a little bit of argy-bargy down in turn 1?
They've been pretty respectful with each other so far this season. I don't expect that to change anytime soon, as I'm not entirely sure what we're waiting for now, as everyone has been on the grid for quite some time. But there they are, the lights are on, and we're ready to race.
Down into turn number 1 for the first time. John Robertson inside. Jake Robertson in the middle. He's going to get some contact to Connor Parisi. Parisi goes sliding, but they're going to be able to save it. The Robertsons are side by side as John takes to the Joker lane for Team Yokohama. Jake on the outside. They stay side by side, but now John is able to beat him.
Absolutely. Robertson 1-2 here. John taking to the Joker, and he is now ahead. They were side by side as John headed into the Joker. We're riding on board with Jake on the right hand side, looking ahead towards John. And we've got the TV cameras on the left hand side looking at John Robertson as well. You can see just how close they are. You can see Killian Delalmo in 3rd position, dropping back ever so slightly, riding on board with Jake once again on the right hand side, looking backwards for a brief moment. He's going to take into the Joker now. And I expect him to come back out just behind his brother. Yes, he does. He's going to come back out ahead of Killian Delalmo. Yes, he does. So it's still a Robertson 1-2 after they both take to their Jokers.
So the two Robertsons will sit 1-2 as John leads the way. But here comes Killian Delalmo. He looked like he wanted to go up the inside of Jake Robertson. Did not have a good enough opportunity in that set Esports Subaru. Now he's going to give him a tap through the hairpin.
Jake almost tapping the barrier on the outside. What this is doing, however, is holding up Killian Delormo and allowing his brother John to just extend that gap, but he is looking very much behind him at the moment. That's not on his mind at all, I'm sure. He's just behind at Killian. A little bit of a touch to that outside wall. You can afford that. The wall flexes a little bit. Actually, that wall on the outside of turn number 1. So you can afford to give that a little bit of a touch, lean on that just a little bit as they come for the third time through the dirt section in towards the hairpin. Once again, 2 seconds is the gap between the two Robertsons in first and second.
Jake Robertson doing a great job at holding off Killian Delormo for that transfer spot. Correction, top 2 transfer into the future, not top 4. I was racing Class D iRacing Rallycross this week where it is top 4. But here it is the top 2 for the World Championship, and Jake Robertson trying to hold off Killian Delormo for that transfer spot. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but this might be the first time 2 siblings have qualified into the feature through the transfer spots of the feature. And it's a bit of a weird stat. I'm not sure if iRacing has that.
Oh, Delormo just hit the inside wall there through the dirt section, but I think you might be right. I don't think we've seen that this season, and certainly no other siblings have both competed in the Rallycross World Championship at the same time. Yoni Heikkinen and Alexi Heikkinen, 2 siblings. Alexi Heikkinen just took Yoni's seat at the start of this season. Yoni having to pull out for personal reasons. But those are the other 2 siblings, as far as I'm aware, the only other 2 siblings to have competed both in this championship, but they didn't do it at the same time, so I think you might be right about that one. But we are on the white flag lap, and Bobby Sant Jr. for some reason is out of the race. So you can see on board John Robertson inside with the rig of John Robertson. You can see the look of concentration on his face coming around the final corner now. Just has to keep it out of the wall on the outside, which he does, and there he goes to take the win in heat number 4.
That will conclude the heats of the day as the Robertsons, John and Jake, will both qualify for the feature race, with Delormo, Albert, Parisi, and Sant Jr. rounding out the rest of the field, as everybody now will gear up for the C and B mains. Like you were talking about earlier, Dane, we saw 3 heats with 7 cars. We're going to see the biggest B and C main grids that we have seen all year as well. There's the full results from heat number 4. The 2 Robertsons transfer for Team Yokohama and Apex Racing Team. Delormo, Parisi, Albert, and Sant Jr. will be racing out of one of their last chance qualifiers. Speaking of last chance qualifiers, it's time for the first of 2. Toskinen, Alikainen, Perez, Lowe, Matamores, Matrani, Busa, Tuomainen, Krogstad. 9 cars will start here in the C main, the first of 2 last chance qualifiers. And this is the first time we're going to see as close to a feature grid as possible. Of course, 10 cars being that feature grid. We have 9 of them on the grid here. Dane, are you expecting a little bit more chaos in the first corner?
Absolutely. We've only seen 2 rows of the grid so far, and 1 or 2 drivers at the back. We now have 9. That is a full 3 rows, and Henrik Krogstad all the way at the back, starting all on his own in the background there. But yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more chaos here as the lights are on. We're ready to race for the C main.
And there they go. The lights are going to go off. We are racing down into NASCAR 3 and 4 for the first time here in the C main. Working through the first corner, a little bit of beating and banging towards the back, but Alikainen going to use that power on the outside to take the lead. He's going to take to the Joker, so is Garrett Lowe, and they're going to have contact with Otto Toskinen for second. Toskinen on the outside, fighting with Lowe, and there goes Toskinen off track.
Yep, he's dropped all the way back. Oh dear, he's got absolutely stampeded there, and he's just ended up backwards and in the barriers. I think something might have happened right at the front. That was Matamoros. It did happen. Matamoros is flipping over the pit barrier. I have definitely seen many cars do that before. Oh, and there's a bit more contact. That's Danny Matrani getting into the side of Adria Perez. Remember, only the winner of this race will get through into the feature. So all of these drivers just battling essentially for pride. I'm not entirely sure if the drivers get points for the consolation. I don't believe they do, as there's a massive group of cars heading into that Joker merge. Oh dear, here's a replay of the start. What's happened to Marcos Manamoros? Oh dear, that is Garrett Lowe. And he does a little bit of, almost looks like his car's trying to do some ballet over that pit wall there.
Unfortunate break for Marcos. As Ollie Kynan pulls away with the lead. Remember here in the last chance qualifiers, only the winner advances. So Lowe and Perez are currently on the outside looking in for that transfer spot. They got a long ways to go. 4.5 seconds back to Adrian Perez. 2.5 back from Lowe to Johnny Ollie Kynan.
Lowe slinging his way sideways through the dirt section. I believe the only Ford Fiesta in the series. His teammate Luke Kraus, I don't remember seeing him in the heats. So I don't think his Lowenboro Motorsports teammate joined the session, but Adrian Perez is in the Beetle, one of the few Beetles. Most of the drivers have chosen the Subaru this season. And we've got a couple of Beetles lying around here and there, and then the two Lowenboro cars in Fiestas. Oh, that is very sideways for Matt Busa, heading through turn number 1. It seems to have worked out all right for him. And Rasmus Tuominen in the set Esports Team GRX car. Up and over the jump he goes. You can see the damage on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of his car, the right-hand side on screen. That was from turn number 1. He got involved in a couple of drivers trying to head their way into the Joker and just got slammed into the inside wall there, which is why he's got a bit of damage, why he's so far down the order after starting fairly high up in the grid.
White flag, final lap of the first last chance qualifier. Perez takes to the Joker lane. I believe so did Matt Busa further behind, but like we've been talking about all day, that Joker lane is not that much of a help. Only about a half-second gap that you are going to gain. So Johnny Ollie Kynan coming through the final hairpin onto the asphalt through 3 and 4. And Johnny Ollie Kynan will make his way into the feature race, racing his way out of the C-Main.
Brilliant drive from him. 5 seconds is the gap to Adrian Perez, who's just made contact with, that is Henrik Krogstad there. Oh dear, what's happened to Otto Taskin? Backwards over the finish line. And backwards into the Joker as well. Interesting stuff at the end of that race there. But the gap was 5 seconds between Johnny Ollie Kynan and that was Garrett Lowe. But yeah, our top-rated rookie heading into this season, proving his worth in the consolation.
So Ollie Kynan makes his way into the feature after winning the first LCQ. Now Tommi Mäkinen will start on the pole here in the second LCQ. Julian Delamo in second, Ilari Lemonsivu in third, Connor Parisi fourth, Alexi Heikkinen in fifth, Bo Albert sixth, Luke Kraus seventh, Bobby Sant Jr. eighth, Vicente Salas in ninth, and Sindra Silva in 10th. The biggest grid we've had for a last chance qualifier this season. It is the exact amount of cars that we'll also have in the feature. If we're going to have any indication of what is going to happen in the feature race, this is going to be it, Dane.
Absolutely, you can see how tightly packed that grid is. 5 rows of cars wide and 4 rows back. We got 3, 2, 3, and 2 to make up the 10 cars in the B main. Mäkinen on the inside, but Delamo in the middle, and Lemonsivu on the outside of the front row as the lights are on and we're ready to race for the B main.
And they're off. Going down in NASCAR 3 and 4 for the first time. All the way on the inside, it's Mäkinen trying to make it stick, but that 4-wheel drive just wants to push up the track. But in the middle, it's going to be Killian Delamo taking the early lead. Roy Lemonsivu to his outside, through the Joker lane for the first time. Delamo inside, Lemonsivu did not take the Joker lane, and he's going to go around.
Oh,
huge carnage.
Big pile up there. That's Heikkinen involved as well. But it was mostly Bo Albert, Lemonsivu, and Mäkinen involved in that one. There is Luke Kraus for Lowenboro Motorsports in the second of the 2 Fiestas. And it looks like Sant has just retired back to the pit lane. Unfortunately, Kraus goes wide. That's going to allow Heikkinen through.
Parisi will sit in second. Salas in third now is Delamo, who's already taken that Joker lane. So is Parisi. Sindra Silva also took the Joker lane as well. Kilian Delamo is in a great spot right now with a huge gap in between him and Parisi as we take a look at Luke Kraus. One of the 2 Ford Fiestas in the field. He sits in fifth for Lombro Motorsports. Oh, one car, that's Bo Albert. Getting a little bit cattywampus coming off of the jump.
You're just seeing the replay on the right-hand side of the screen. That's what happened in turn number 1. Bo Albert seemed to hit a bit of an invisible wall, almost as he headed over that curve into towards turn number 1. And we've just seen him now make a mockery of the jump. I believe it was Bo Albert in the background of that shot. I was looking at the replay, but yeah, Bo Albert really not having the best of days here. Obviously couldn't race last time out because of a race ban, because of an incident that happened in Hell for round number 5. Here at round number 7, not being his day in the N20 Autosport number 27 car.
Not a good day either for his teammate, who's just right in front of him, Vincenzo Salas. The entire team at Andretti Autosports not having the best of days here in Indianapolis, as they continue just to try and get as many spots as possible here in the last chance qualifier. But it's so difficult through these LCQs to really get such a good position, and once you're in the LCQ, it's so difficult to get back into the feature because it's only the winner that advances.
Absolutely. Oh, Salas making his way past Alexi Heikkinen, and Robert not able to do the same. 2 laps to go. Hits the inside wall, and oh dear. In the background you can see Mäkinen just got past as well into the outside wall through turn 3. Heikkinen went, and that's unfortunate for him. Now we're looking at the Nitro Circus car. 3rd position in the B main so far. Vesindre Silva comes across the line to start the white flag lap, lap 5 of 5. One of the Apex Racing Academy drivers in that number 63 car. The Norwegian doing pretty well to qualify for the series in the first place, and now holding his own in the B main as well.
Silva going to come home in 3rd, assuming Luke Klaus not able to make a move here in these last couple of corners. But coming through the final hairpin, Parisi made a look not close enough. It'll be Kilian Delamo for Set Esports Team GRX taking the win here in the B main. They'll take the 10th and final spot in the feature race.
Bo Albert got past Vincente Salas at the end. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Vincente there for Andretti Autosport. I doubt it was any team orders because you don't get points for the consolation races. And there is the sad-looking Subaru of Ilari Lemon Sivu. As we are finished all of the heat races, there are the final results of the B main on the screen as the drivers, the top 10 drivers, including Kilian Delamo and no one else from the B main. And all the feature drivers now on track. You can see in the background heading into the 5-minute warm-up session, trying to lay down some laps, trying to get used to the new track conditions because the track has just been reset.
When we come back, we will have that feature race here on Apex Racing TV. You're watching the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. It's the Team Yokohama Team Stream. Stay tuned after these messages from our sponsors because we'll be back with the feature.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the Team Yokohama stream here on Apex Racing TV for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. Before we get to all the feature race action, we would like to also thank our sponsors over at Apex Racing Academy, as they offer everything you need to improve your driving in the sim. Choose from 29 data packs with setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. Our own John Robertson and Johan Hart for Team Yokohama are both coaches in the academy, and everything is integrated with Virtual Racing School. So head over to apexracingac.com to join today. And it is time to get going here for the feature race in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series here from Lucas Oil Raceway. Mitchell DeYoung on the pole. In the middle of row 1, it'll be Johan Hart. Outside of row 1, Garrett Maines. Inside of row 2, John Robertson. Outside of row 2 will be Tommy Hallman. In the third row, it'll be Zelensky on the inside. Fox in the middle. Jake Robertson for Apex Racing Team on the outside. Then the final row, inside, outside, Ollie Kynan and DeLalmo. And then it's time to go racing here in the feature. Dane, we saw Team Yokohama 1-2 last week in Sonoma. Do you think they have a good chance of doing it again?
I think they have a fairly decent chance, especially if there's a little bit of a turn 1 mayhem, as we saw in that last chance qualifier, the B main, with the same number of cars on the grid. Obviously, the drivers aren't going to be as pressured to try and get as close to the front as possible. Obviously, only the first driver from those conversations came into the feature. That was clean DeLalmo in this case. But they're still going to want to get as far up the field as possible. And I think that we might just see a little bit of action heading in towards turn number 1, which could help the drivers. It could really harm them as well, as we saw Larry Lemon-Seaver getting knocked all the way back down to 9th at the start of that last race.
Just waiting on the last couple of drivers to make their way onto the grid. So we get ready to go racing here in the feature race. You can see that Team Yokohama car right in the middle of row number 1. Johan Hart right in the middle of everything, but he got a great start in his heat to move on to win that heat. So we're waiting to see what he can do on this start. The lights are going to come on. They're all going to go red, and then they'll all go out. There are the lights. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go racing from Lucas Oil Raceway. A dynamite start from Johan Hart. He's going to fall behind Mitchell DeYoung, but he's going to go for the switchback. Hart on the inside. They're 3 wide for the lead as Maines tries to go around the outside. DeYoung takes the lead. Hart will go second into the Joker lane, trying to defend now behind him as the Subaru Motorsports machine of Bobby Zielinski gives him a shot. He's going to go through the grass with another shot from the Set Esports driver behind. But Johan Hart with a slowdown is going to go into third.
Now he's got Zielinski on the outside in towards the dirt section. Jake Robertson up into 5th with his brother just behind in 6th. Johan Hart round the outside now of Zielinski. He's going to have the preferred line in towards the hairpin. They go. Holman up into 2nd. DeYoung miles out ahead in the lead. 3 wide with the 2 Robertsons and Zielinski just behind. Zielinski all the way on the outside. He's made it work. 2 Robertsons colliding just for a moment, and that looks like it's allowed Joni Ollikainen up into what would be 6th position.
Johan Hart is now stuck in 3rd as you're on board with John Robertson on the right side of your screen as well. You can see Ollikainen in front as he tries to get around him once again. He has his brother Jake Robertson in the 21 from Apex Racing Team behind him. With Johan Hart now trying to fight back. He's on the podium right now, but we know he wants that win, and he made a look to the inside through the hairpin on Tommy Hallman. He was not able to peek that Subaru nose in there.
Problem with that is that you really do not get the good exit that you need. Little bit of a touch to the barrier for Johan Hart, really pushing hard. Four-wheel drive not helping him out at all through the final sequence of corners on the oval. He now has to recatch that gap back up to Tommy Hallman to be able to try and make a move again. That's the problem with making a move into that final dirt hairpin, is that you really do get a bad line out of it and you can lose a lot of time by doing so. Meanwhile, John Robertson's fallen back a little bit after having a bit of a touch to the wall on the inside through that dirt right-hander after trying to send one up the inside of who I believe is Joni Ollikainen.
So Hart sits in 3rd right now with John Robertson, his teammate, in 6th. DeYoung leads, and they're the main 3 here in the championship. DeYoung went into this race 26 points behind John Robertson. He went into this race 13 points behind Johan Hart. As Robertson leads with 128 points, Johan Hart in 2nd with 115, Mitchell DeYoung in 3rd with 102. So after this, DeYoung's going to make up a couple of points on those Team Yokohama drivers, but in 2nd for the team standings is Set Esports. Set Esports is currently in 2nd and 5th. So a lot of differential with the points right now as we continue to watch them. But I believe at the end of this race, we're still going to have Robertson and Hart in 1 and 2. This all depends on how much Mitchell DeYoung is going to close down that gap. As look at Tommy Hallman, or sorry, that is Joni Ollikainen diving up the inside. It's Zielinski for 4th. And now that's going to push Zielinski back into Robertson. John Robertson looking for a top 5 finish here as he gets a little loose coming off of the jump. He's going to slide it through the dirt section. He's going to get to the inside of Zielinski, but that's going to quickly turn to the outside. He goes for the switchback. He gets it.
Good move by John Robertson there. He's now got the outside line through the NASCAR turns. I think he had a bit of a scrape with the wall there, which slowed him down quite a bit. Sees the position to Zielinski. He's going to have to try again. 5 laps to go.
Able to make that switchback work the first time. He's within that same gap. Expecting him to try it again here. He's going to go back over the jump. Saw him get a little loose, and he's doing the same thing his teammate Johan Hart does, where he stays in the gas throughout the jump and really pitches that car upwards and lands on those back wheels, the back tailgate first. There he went for the switchback again, hits the curb, gets up onto tires, gets it back down on all 4 as he now runs about a car length behind Bobby Zielinski, looking to take that position over, just not able to get that pass done just yet.
Oh, looks like he's going to send one up the inside into turn number 1. Bit of a lock up there as well. Desperately trying to get up into that 5th position. I think 4th is out of the equation for him as everyone spreads out in the field. Robertson and Zelensky still battling hard though. He's as close as ever. I think he might just have to really send one up the inside into the hairpin potentially if it gets to the last lap, and he hasn't got past yet. That was a pretty good exit out of the hairpin, but he's still not close enough to make a move into turn number 1 yet.
Johnny Oikainen just set the fastest lap of the race at 39.587. He runs in 4th. Let's start this battle between John Robertson and Bobby Zelensky. Team Yokohama versus Subaru Motorsports USA. Back through the dirt section once again. This long sweeping corner, you can really see that groove start to build in. They don't want to use that groove because that really gets those cars upset, especially on the rear tires, causes them to spin more than they're looking for. As we're back on Johan Harth in 3rd, you can see on the right side of your screen, you got an onboard of John Robertson. You can see both of the Team Yokohama drivers right now. Johan Harth in 3rd. As they continue to race through, just a handful of laps left here in the feature race. 2 laps left. We're getting word from Garrett Maines over the iRacing voice chat that he's looking for a illegitimate black flag cleared from the race stewards. We'll see if he does end up getting that black flag cleared as our Team Yokohama drivers continue to race through the feature race. They'll take the white flag this time by. De Jong leads with Hallman in 2nd. Johan Harth sits in 3rd. And Robertson making a move on Zelensky on the right side of your screen. And he's going to take that spot away, not going to clear him.
Zelensky with the extra boost of power out of the outside of that corner, hard into the wall on the outside as they're heading towards turn number 1. Still side by side. I believe they're starting the last lap now. Into turn number 2. He has got it. Robertson up into 5th position there as they come up over the jump. He has made that one stick.
Now he's going to need to play defense through this final hairpin because we saw John Robertson go for a lot of switchbacks in that corner. He's not going to be able to do it. De Jong wins, Hallman 2nd, Johan Harth comes home 3rd, but John Robertson with a last lap pass will come home in 5th. Great race from our 2 Team Yokohama drivers, a double top 5 for Team Yokohama.
And Jake Robertson finishes in 9th. That is a very, very beaten up Subaru. Unfortunate for him, didn't have the best of races. Garrett Maines finishing 2 laps down at the back. But there is the final results of the feature there. Mitchell de Jong winning, Tommy Holman in 2nd, and then our very own Johan Harth in 3rd. John Robertson was in 5th. Joni Oikainen in between the 2 Yokohama drivers. Bobby Zelensky for Subaru Motorsports USA in 6th. Then Delolmo, Fox, Robertson, that Jake Robertson for Apex Racing Team, and Garrett Maines. As we can see, some of the drivers doing some donuts.
When we come back here on Apex Racing TV, we will have interviews with our Team Yokohama drivers, so make sure that you stay tuned. You're watching the Team Yokohama stream here on Apex Racing TV for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series. Don't go anywhere as we have a special message from our sponsors. Welcome back to the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series Yokohama team stream here on Apex Racing TV. And we have the updated point standings for you. And John Robertson and Johan Harth will keep their strong hold at the top, but that gap to Mitchell DeYoung behind is closing. Now DeYoung only 7 points behind Johan Harth, 14 behind John Robertson. So DeYoung closing in ever so slightly, but with 2 rounds left, one of them being Sonoma for the finale, where we had that 1-2 from Team Yokohama. They have a bit of defense to do, but Dane, these 2 drivers, Robertson and Harth, have shown this year that they are here to race and they are here to fight for that championship, not only in the driver's standings, but in the team standings as well.
Absolutely, they are doing a splendid job, especially in the team standings. Let's do some quick maths then. 145 points, 138 points, that would mean 283 points for Team Yokohama, and 208 points for Set Esports, who are the next highest potentially. Actually, Bobby Zelensky had a pretty good result there as well, so it could be Subaru Motorsports USA, but there's still a healthy lead. 1-2 in the driver standings guarantees a win in the constructors or the team's standings. So looking good for Team Yokohama at the moment, and with John Robertson not having the best of races, the gap has closed down just a bit, but 2 rounds left to go. It's going to be close as we head into Phoenix in just a few days' time.
And Dane, you mentioned Phoenix, and we haven't been there yet this season, and it has such a unique Joker lane there as well. Pretty much all asphalt dumps right into the dirt. What are the main challenges going to be for those drivers through this week in practice as they get ready to go?
Absolutely. Phoenix is a really tricky circuit. It's my personal, I wouldn't say favorite. My favorite circuit is probably Atlanta, but my fastest circuit at Phoenix. And the Academy guys really did a fantastic job with myself last season in the Phoenix circuit, and I managed to get quite a few wins. But yeah, it's a really fun circuit to drive once you get the hang of it. It's a little bit of a gimmicky circuit. There's a couple of places where you really have to know the perfect line through there, and it's maybe not the sort of line that you would expect through some of the corners. But it's a fun track, and from what we saw in the Pro Qualifiers at least, it gave us the best race of the season last season in the Pro Qualifiers. So hopefully we'll get another cracker and in the World Championship as well.
Well, now it's time to interview our Team Yokohama drivers. Up first, it is John Robertson, who got a 5th place finish here at the Lucas Oil Raceway. We'll make sure you can hear us here in the Discord. John, welcome to the booth, and talk about that start, first of all, in the feature, because you were starting right in the middle of everybody, and you had to try and do your best to get out of that alive. How difficult was that start?
Yeah, we were a little bit scared going into it. I managed to get away with it pretty well through the first corner. And I opted to take the Joker just to be on the safe side. And obviously, Bobby then, I don't know if he missed his braking point or what happened, but I saw him come in pretty quick in my mirrors. So I gave him the inside, and he pushed me out wide, which wasn't great. I got quite a lot of damage from it, but yeah, it was a good recovery from there. I can't remember where I was, but I think I finished P5 in the end, or P6.
Yes, you did, P5, and we saw you battling with Zelensky pretty much from the start to the end, and you were able to get that switch back going through the hairpin. How difficult was it to get by that Subaru Motorsports USA car in front of you? Because it seemed like he was defending really well, but you were able to get that switch back going from dirt to asphalt really well.
Yeah, it was really difficult. I just spent a few laps trying to figure out where I could make the move. I wanted to try and do it without any contact. Obviously, don't want to get any instant points or anything. But yeah, it ended up being quite a nice move. We had a little bit of contact a few laps before, and he ended up getting the position back as well. But yeah, I was happy with that.
We move into Phoenix Raceway next week here in the championship. How confident are you in your team in Phoenix, and do you think you can grab another Team Yokohama 1-2 there?
We're feeling pretty confident going into next round. This round was kind of damage limitation for us just because you can't really control your fate here. We feel like at the next 2 tracks, the last 2 rounds, got a little bit more of a chance to get a 1-2.
Anyone else you'd like to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, I want to thank Apex for all the work this week, SDK Gaming, Simputers, Apex Racing Academy, and Yokohama, and you guys for the broadcast.
Thank you very much, John Robertson. 5th place finish here in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship from Lucas Oil Raceway. And I do not believe we have Johan Harth just yet, Dane, but a great race from John Robertson to really battle back and grab that 5th place. And throughout the race, we just saw a lot of carnage, a lot of battles, and it seemed like especially our Team Yokohama drivers could really weed through all the carnage and make sure that they got a good finish.
Yeah, like John just said, it is a sort of a circuit, as they say with Le Mans, it chooses its winner, and I think we saw that here today, all the carnage happening just behind Mitchell de Jong, and also in some of the consolation races as well, and the heats. It's a really, really tricky circuit, but yeah, it looks like we might have one of the other drivers from Apex Racing Team, not Team Yokohama. We have got Jake Robertson on the way. Josh, I think you might want to take him in just a moment.
I will take Jake Robertson for Apex Racing Team in the 21. Finished 9th here at the Lucas Oil Raceway. Not your best finish of the season, but definitely an improvement race for you. Just what was the challenges going into today's race here at Indianapolis?
It's a really tight T1, and I think we knew that there was going to be something that was going to come out of some people going through the Joker and some people going around the outside, and unfortunately I kind of got caught up with that. I think one of the drivers maybe came out of it a little bit too fast. I had some damage kind of the whole feature, sorry. And it's not where I want to come in the feature, but coming into this round, a feature finish is pretty good.
I want to go back to your heat for a moment because it was you and your brother John Robertson finishing 1-2 in that heat. I mean, I would assume it's a little bit of a sour taste there because you weren't able to beat your brother, but you were still able to get into the feature with him. How special was it racing against him in that heat and both of you advancing into the feature race? I believe the first siblings to advance out of a heat in this series.
Yeah, it's actually not. It's kind of like the opposite. I mean, I tried to give him as much space as possible on the inside because he was coming out of the Joker. I couldn't see him for a while, so I was a bit worried, but then he eventually came out and I knew he would just sort of pull away, so slotting him behind him and letting him do his thing and coming in P2 in the heat and qualifying with him is pretty insane.
Now moving forward to Phoenix Raceway next week, how confident are you in the team and your car that you can get a good finish there at Phoenix?
I think last time I raced at Phoenix, we had a really good setup there, so hopefully we can build another really good setup for next week and get a good result.
Anyone you would like to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
SDK Gaming, Simputers, and you guys for the broadcast.
Thank you very much. Jake Robertson, 9th place finish in the feature here on Apex Racing TV for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. And Dane, 2 more rounds left, Phoenix, and then we go back to Sonoma, like we've been talking about. And I want to focus on the team standings here just for a moment because this team, of course, 1-2 in the standings right now. They're really battling Subaru Motorsports USA and Set Esports for that team championship. What do they need to do as a team to make sure that they can lock up that team standings championship? Because I believe with a good finish from both of them, they have a chance at locking it up next week in Phoenix.
Absolutely. The points difference between themselves and I believe it's now Subaru Motorsports USA who have taken the second spot in that championship. The gap is now pretty large indeed. Obviously with Zelensky finishing a bit further behind in the feature race and also in the heat races as well. Didn't have the best of heat races. So yeah, it's definitely increased quite a lot and the gap is pretty large. So they don't have to do too much to secure the championship as far as teams go. But to secure it next week at Phoenix is going to be fairly difficult. I think they would pretty much have to get a 1-2 finish and rely on one of Mitchell or Bobby not making the feature. So it's not entirely up to them at this point, but if they keep doing what they've been doing so far, as I said at the start of this broadcast, I think they have a pretty good shot.
We only go to 2 tracks more than once in this series, and that is Hellankambanen and Sonoma. So as these drivers go into the season finale in Sonoma, what are they going to take from that first race in Sonoma to really help them and improve their performance going into the season finale, because that is such an important race?
Yeah, I think we did obviously a fantastic race there last time out, and I think that's going to give them a bit of a confidence boost heading into the final round, especially being the final round. That's going to help them a lot. Drivers like Mitchell de Jong, he's going to have a point to prove because he didn't make the feature, of course, last time out at Sonoma due to incidents in both his heat and then as well in his last chance qualifier that he was in. So he might be one to watch out for as well. Of course, always one to watch out for, being a previous champion and currently 3rd in the standings. But yeah, the 2 Team Yokohama guys, they have a pretty good chance, I think, at Sonoma to do another fantastic result for the team.
Well, as we continue to wait for our last Team Yokohama driver, Johan Harth, we're going to take a quick break here to thank our sponsors at SDK Gaming and Virtual Racing School. But when we come back, we'll have an interview with Johan Harth from Team Yokohama, so do not go anywhere.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Raceway here on Apex Racing TV for the Team Yokohama stream from the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series. And Dane, we continue to... We're in the last couple seconds of waiting for Johan Harth. Just finished up the official iRacing broadcast interview. But Johan with a great third place finish here. And we're looking at the start right now on the replay. And you can see he started in the middle, did the switch back to the inside, and was second going through the Joker lane. And he was able to really get his car settled out because he had a bump from Zelensky there. He ran into the Set Esports car on the outside. He saw two cars collide in front of him, and he got punted into the grass, but was still able to come back from that slowdown and keep a third place finish.
Absolutely. That initial contact between himself and Bobby Zelensky really did miss his braking zone. As you were talking with John Robertson as well, he told you he saw him coming in his mirrors, and it was great reactions. You can see on the replay, it was very fine margins between John and Bobby. John just getting out of the way in time, but unfortunately, Johan Hart didn't have the same luxury, and so got half turned around. He managed to do pretty well from that, but then unfortunately, with the car of, I believe it was Garrett Maines, who just, there was a whole lot of netcode. That was almost half a car's width of netcode. Half a car's width of distance between Maines and Johan, unfortunately for him. Bit of server issues there, it seems. That was a huge amount of net code, very unfortunate for him, and that sent him across the grass, which is why he lost the position to Horman, because he was ahead, but he had to pretty much stop on the side of the track to serve that hefty slowdown that you get from cutting there. Yeah, really unfortunate for him. That first lap did not go his way, but then he had a really damaged car, and it made things worse. I believe on the next lap, he slams into the outside wall out of NASCAR turn 4, which gave him a bit more damage on the right-hand side of the car. And yeah, he did really well to fend off Joni Olakainen at the end there, but his teammate battling with first Johnny and then Bobby Zelensky really helped him out there.
It looks like we have Johan Harth in the interview waiting area. Dane, you're going to take this interview with Johan Harth, third place finisher here for Team Yokohama.
Absolutely. Well, Johan, welcome back to the Apex Racing TV interview room once again. Not quite the victory that we had last time out, but still a very respectable third place for you this week.
Yeah, not quite the victory, but I'll take a P3 any day after a slowdown in T2.
Absolutely. That was a massive slowdown. You got hit by, I believe it was Garrett Maines, but it was quite a bit of netcode. Is that what you saw on your screen?
Yeah, I think it was not good. Not a massive one. I think I would have studied him after he bounced off the wall, but yeah, that was pretty unlucky. Lucky, if you think about it. I only lost one spot, but yeah, could have been way worse.
Absolutely. And you managed to hold on to that third position, but there at the end of the second lap, you had a bit of a touch to the wall on the outside. Was your car, you weren't quite as fast as you were in the heat race in the feature. Was your car a little bit damaged from that first few laps?
I think I had engine damage, to be frank with you, because the engine wasn't sounding really good down the straight. I was kind of bugging down the straight, if that makes sense. So yeah, try to take it easy, not damage the car any more than what it was.
Yeah, I think that might have been from that slowdown. You really went over the curbs, and in turn 1 as well on that first lap. You went over those big blue curbs, the turtle curbs, quite heavily. That could have definitely caused it. But looking at the point standings then after that round, you have closed the gap to your teammate after that, John Robertson. The gap between you is now provisionally 7 points. So it might even be looking good for you for maybe the championship victory in a couple of weeks' time at Sonoma.
Yeah, it might be looking good for me, but we get to watch out with Mitchell de Jong now, because he closed down the gap pretty easily today. Just, 7 or 8 points behind me? Yeah, 7 points, so yeah. Really need to keep an eye on him now. It's going to be pretty close until the end.
Absolutely. And then the next round, obviously we know that you love Sonoma after last week. That's the final round, but the 8th round of 9 in either 1 or 2 weeks is Phoenix. How do you find that circuit?
Probably my favorite track on the service, to be fair. I got pole position last year. I got my first race win in 2018 there. So yeah, that's a really a really fun track to drive, and one of my favorite on the service. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I'd have to agree with you there. It's a very fun little track, and possibly one of the easier to make an overtake at. There's a couple of places where you can try and make a move there, so it might not be quite as difficult as you would have found it here at Lucas Oil. So yeah, it should be a good round. I'm looking forward to that. Johan, thank you so much. Congrats on the 3rd position, first of all. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Well, of course, Team Yokohama for all the support. John and Jake for all the work they've done this week on the car was super quick as always, and thank you guys for all the broadcast.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck for Phoenix.
Thank you.
Well, that is going to do it for our broadcast of the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series presented by Yokohama. Following again, Team Yokohama with the Apex Racing TV team stream. We're glad you joined us here at the virtual Lucas Oil Raceway. For Alex Simpson, Mark Trancer, Dane Baird, I am Joshua Lee saying goodbye from Indianapolis.